Have you ever wondered why some people speak and suddenly the whole room goes silent? Why their words seem to cut through the noise while others are ignored, even if they have something valuable to say? The truth is, it's not always about having the smartest idea. It's about the power of clarity. When you learn how to express your thoughts with precision, you step into a world where people listen, respect, and remember you. And if you stay with me until the end of this journey, you'll discover the secret steps to speaking with such power and clarity that you'll stand above 99% of people. Think about it. How many times have you had a brilliant thought in your mind, but when you tried to speak it out loud, the words came out messy, scattered, or weak? Inside, you knew exactly what you wanted to say, but outside, it didn't land the way you hoped. That moment of frustration is common, yet it carries a painful truth. In today's world, it's not enough to simply think clearly, you must also speak clearly. Your voice is your bridge to the world. It's how your inner thoughts become external reality. And when that bridge is strong, people will cross it without hesitation. But when it is shaky, when your words are unclear, when your message is drowned in confusion, people turn away, they stop listening. They stop valuing what you say. That is why clarity in speech is not just a skill, it is a form of power. Look at history. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and teachers were not just people with ideas, they were people who could deliver those ideas in ways that pierced hearts and moved minds. A leader without clarity becomes noise, but a leader with clarity becomes a voice that echoes through generations. That is the hidden power of clear speech. It transforms thoughts into influence and influence into impact. But here's something most people don't realize. Clarity is not about using big words or sounding intellectual. In fact, the opposite is true. The clearer you are, the simpler you become. Human psychology shows us that the mind is drawn to simplicity, not complexity. When words are tangled, the brain shuts down. When words are simple and direct, the brain opens wide. This is why powerful communication is always rooted in clarity. Think of your words like arrows. If they are dull, they hit and fall flat. But if they are sharp, they pierce through confusion straight to the target. The sharpness of your words depends on how clearly you understand and express your thoughts. And this is where most people fail. They think too quickly, they rush their speech, they clutter their message with noise. As a result, their arrows are blunt and their words lose impact. But imagine for a moment that you master this power. Imagine standing in a room full of people, opening your mouth and feeling every pair of eyes lock on you. Imagine speaking in such a way that your words are remembered long after you finish. Imagine knowing that the way you express yourself sets you apart from nearly everyone else. That is the reward of clarity. It elevates you above the crowd. And here's the best part. This power is not reserved for the gifted few. It is not something you are born with. It is something you can learn, practice, and master. The reason most people never reach this level is because they never take the time to slow down, to refine, to sharpen their voice. But those who do, those who commit to it, become unforgettable. Psychologists say that humans judge each other in seconds. Your words, your tone, your clarity, all of it sends a signal about who you are. Speak with confusion, and people see weakness. Speak with clarity, and people sense strength. The world often does not wait to discover your true potential. It decides based on how you present yourself. That's why your ability to articulate thoughts clearly is not just about communication. It's about survival, success, and influence in a world that is full of noise. So let me ask you again, what would it mean for your life if you could articulate your thoughts more clearly than 99% of people? How different would your career be? How different would your relationships be? How different would your confidence feel every time you spoke? The hidden power of clear speech is not just about sounding good, it's about living powerfully. Because when your words are clear, your path becomes clear. Stay with me until the end, because I will give you the practical keys, the psychological truths, and the timeless techniques to master this art. And once you hold these tools in your hands, you will never again feel the frustration of being misunderstood. You will speak and people will listen. You will express and people will believe. You will discover what it truly means to speak with power. If clarity is such a powerful weapon, then why do so many people fail to use it? The answer lies in a silent struggle that most never talk about. Inside the mind, thoughts move fast, too fast. They rush, they collide, they overlap. By the time a person tries to put those thoughts into words, the message is already tangled. What comes out feels incomplete, weak, or misunderstood. And this silent struggle is the reason why countless brilliant ideas never see the light of day. Human psychology teaches us that the brain processes images and feelings before it forms words. This means that often what you want to say exists as a feeling or a picture in your mind. But turning that picture into clear language takes effort and discipline. Most people skip that step. They speak as the thoughts appear, unfiltered, unorganized. And the result is confusion, not only for the listener, but also for themselves. This is why conversations can feel frustrating. You may leave a discussion, knowing you had the right answer, but feeling you failed to express it. This inner battle is not about lack of intelligence. It's about lack of control. Training the mind to slow down and organize, words will always stumble out half-formed. But here's the truth that sets you free. This struggle is not permanent. Clarity can be learned. Just as muscles grow with training, the ability to express yourself grows with practice. The moment you begin to tame your rushing thoughts, you take back control of your voice. And when you do, the silence you once felt, the silence of not being understood, turns into the strength of being heard. The silent struggle is real, but it doesn't have to be your reality forever. The choice to rise above it is in your hands. And once you do, your words will stop being scattered whispers. They will become instruments of power. When a person overcomes the struggle of tangled thoughts and scattered words, something powerful begins to happen. Their voice starts to carry weight. People lean in, not because of volume, but because of precision. Clarity becomes their weapon, and with it comes influence. The ability to speak in a way that others instantly understand is one of the strongest forms of authority you can hold. Think about it. When you listen to someone who speaks with clarity, you feel safe. You trust their message. Your mind doesn't have to fight to decode their meaning, so you give them your attention. This is how respect is earned, not demanded. Human psychology works in a simple way. The easier it is for someone to process your words, the more likely they are to believe and follow you. On the other hand, unclear speech creates distance. It plants doubt. Even if your idea is good, if your delivery is messy, people hesitate. They question not just your words, but your confidence, your preparation, and even your capability. That is why clarity is not just about communication. It's about identity. Every time you speak, you show the world who you are. Clarity cuts through the noise of this crowded world. It allows your voice to rise above the chaos, to leave an impression when others are forgotten. Leaders, visionaries, and change-makers all shared this common trait, their ability to make the complex simple and the simple unforgettable. When you master this, your words stop being ordinary. They start shaping decisions, inspiring actions, and opening doors that were once closed. This is the true reward of clarity. It gives you influence. Not by force, not by demanding attention, but by earning it through the undeniable power of being understood. And when people understand you, they don't just hear your words, they carry them, remember them, and act upon them. Influence does not come from rushing your words. In fact, speed often destroys clarity. When thoughts are spoken too quickly, the listener cannot keep up. The message loses strength, and the power you work to build slips away. To speak with authority, you must first learn the discipline of slowing down. Slowing down does not mean losing energy, it means gaining control. Each word, each sentence is allowed to land. The listener has time to absorb, to reflect, and to connect. Psychology shows us that the human brain processes meaning in pauses. When you speak too fast, those pauses disappear, and the brain is forced to chase your words. But when you slow down, the brain relaxes. It leans in. It begins to trust what it hears. Think of your words like footsteps on a path. If you run, the ground blurs, and no one notices the details. But if you walk with purpose, every step leaves a mark. The same is true for your speech. Fast talk is forgotten. Slow, intentional talk is remembered. Great communicators understand this secret. They use silence as a tool, not as a weakness. A pause before a powerful statement creates anticipation. A pause after it creates impact. The space between your words is where your influence grows. It's where your voice transforms from noise into music. When you slow down, you send a message beyond your words. You show certainty. You show that you are not afraid to be heard and not afraid to wait. People associate calm speech with confidence, and confidence always commands respect. So remember this truth: if you want to move faster in life, slow down when you speak. Give your words the time to travel deeply into the hearts and minds of those who listen. Clarity is not a race, it is a rhythm. And once you master that rhythm, your voice will no longer just fill the air. It will leave an imprint. When you slow down your words, something powerful happens inside of you. Confidence begins to rise. People can feel it, not through what you say, but through how you say it. Human psychology shows us that the voice is a mirror of the mind. If you are certain within, your voice will carry that certainty outward. But if you are filled with doubt, your words will tremble, no matter how strong the message is. Confidence in speech does not mean being loud or dominating. It means being steady, controlled, and unshaken. It is the calmness in your tone, the firmness in your choice of words, and the ease with which you deliver them. When people hear this calm strength, they lean in, because it tells them you are not trying to prove yourself. You already know your value. The mind of the listener makes instant judgments. Before they process your words, they sense your confidence. If they hear hesitation, they doubt the message. But if they hear conviction, they begin to believe, even before they fully understand what you are saying. This is why confidence is the foundation of influence. Without it, clarity alone cannot hold power. But here is the key: confidence is not built in the moment of speaking. It is built in the moments before it. It is built through preparation, through self-awareness, and through the daily practice of aligning your inner voice with your outer voice. When your inner world is organized, your outer voice naturally becomes strong. Remember, people are not only listening to your words, they are feeling the state of your mind. A confident voice reassures. It inspires trust. It carries authority without force. When you master this inner strength, every word you speak will have the power to move others, not because you are trying to impress them, but because you are speaking from a place of unshakable certainty. Confidence becomes even more powerful when it is paired with simplicity. Too many people believe that using complicated words will make them sound intelligent. In reality, the opposite is true. The more unnecessary words you use, the weaker your message becomes. Human psychology shows us that the brain remembers what is simple, not what is overloaded. Simplicity sharpens the message, while excess drowns it. When you cut away the noise, your words begin to carry weight. Think of it like a blade. A blade is sharp not because of its size, but because of its precision. The same is true with speech. A short, direct sentence often carries more power than a long, scattered explanation. Great communicators know this. They speak less, but they are heard more. Every extra word is like adding fog to your message. Listeners must work harder to find your meaning, and in that struggle, attention slips away. But when you choose words with care, each one becomes a spark. Each one hits directly, leaving no room for confusion. This is why clarity is not about saying everything. It's about saying the right things. A person who can express a big idea in a few words is often seen as wiser and stronger than someone who uses a flood of words to say the same thing. Simplicity is not weakness, it is mastery. When you combine confidence with simplicity, your words become unforgettable. People don't just hear them, they feel them, they repeat them, they carry them into their own lives. That is the true sign of impact, not that you said a lot, but that what you said continues to live in the minds of others. Speak less, but make every word count, and you will stand above those who mistake noise for power. When you learn to speak with fewer words, another tool reveals itself: the pause. Silence is often feared in conversation, but in truth, it is one of the most powerful instruments you can use. A pause gives strength to the words before it and weight to the words after it. It allows your message to breathe, and it allows your listener to truly absorb what you have said. Human psychology proves that people need space to process information. If words flow endlessly without pause, the brain becomes overwhelmed. But when silence is introduced, the mind becomes alert. It leans forward, waiting, wondering what will come next. A pause creates anticipation, and when you finally speak again, your words strike with greater force. Think of silence as the frame around a painting. Without the frame, the picture feels unfinished. But with it, the image stands out, commanding attention. In the same way, pauses frame your message, turning ordinary speech into something memorable. Many fear silence because they think it shows weakness. But in reality, silence shows control. It shows that you are not rushing to fill space, not desperate for approval. Instead, you are confident enough to let the weight of your words rest in the air. People respect this. They see it as authority. They feel it as presence. The pause is not emptiness. It is impact. It transforms speaking into rhythm and rhythm into influence. When used with clarity and simplicity, it makes your voice unforgettable. Every great communicator understands this. It is not only what you say that matters, but also the silence that surrounds it. Speak with pauses, and your words will no longer pass quickly by. They will echo, they will linger, and they will live in the minds of those who hear them. The pause gives power to your outer voice, but the journey to true clarity begins even deeper, inside your own mind. Before you can speak with strength, you must first control the voice within. Every human being carries an inner dialogue, a constant stream of thoughts. If that inner voice is scattered, anxious, or negative, then your outer speech will reflect the same confusion. The mind is like a stage, and your thoughts are the actors. If too many actors speak at once, chaos takes over. But when the script is clear, the message flows with harmony. The same is true for your inner world. The more organized and calm your thinking becomes, the more powerful your words will sound. Psychology shows us that most communication problems are born long before the first word is spoken. They begin in the mind, where unstructured thoughts race too quickly. This is why people stumble, repeat themselves, or fill their speech with empty words. They are trying to catch up with their own mind. The solution is not to push harder, but to slow the mind, to bring order before expression. Practices like reflection, writing, or meditation help train this inner clarity. They give you the ability to notice your thoughts, arrange them, and select what matters most. When your inner voice becomes steady, your outer speech gains power. People will hear confidence not because you force it, but because your words are born from a mind that is calm and certain. Mastering your inner voice means mastering your outer influence. If your thoughts are controlled, your words will be controlled. If your inner voice is strong, your outer voice will naturally command attention. The journey to speaking clearly begins not on the tongue, but in the mind. When the inner voice is clear, every word you speak carries truth, direction, and power. Once your inner voice is steady, the next step to powerful speech is mastering the art of listening. Most people think communication is all about talking, but true influence is built on the ability to listen deeply. When you listen with focus, you understand more, and when you understand more, you speak with greater clarity. Human psychology reveals that people feel valued when they are heard. In conversations, they are not only paying attention to your words, they are also watching to see if you are paying attention to theirs. When you truly listen, without interrupting, without rushing to respond, you create trust, and trust is the foundation of influence. Listening sharpens your speech because it gives you the exact material you need to respond effectively. Instead of filling your words with assumptions, you respond with precision. Your message becomes relevant, direct, and impactful. This makes people lean in. because they feel you are not just talking, you are connecting. Many struggle with articulation because they focus too much on themselves. They worry about sounding smart, about saying the perfect thing. But the strongest speakers shift their focus outward. They study the person in front of them. They listen not only to the words spoken, but also to the emotions behind them. And when they respond, their words land with accuracy and weight. Listening is not silence, it is strategy. It prepares your mind to speak with power. It teaches you patience, empathy, and timing. When combined with inner clarity, it transforms you into someone whose words always strike the right chord. The best communicators are not those who speak the most, but those who listen the deepest. Listening builds wisdom, and wisdom gives birth to words that can move hearts and minds. When you listen carefully, you begin to notice something about most people's speech. It is filled with unnecessary words, and countless other fillers sneak into conversations without thought. These words may seem small, but they carry a heavy cost. They dilute your message, weaken your authority, and make your voice sound uncertain. The reason people use fillers is often rooted in fear. They are afraid of silence, afraid of losing attention, afraid of not sounding smart enough, so they patch the gaps with noise. But psychology shows us that the brain interprets these fillers as hesitation. The more you use them, the less confident you appear, no matter how strong your idea may be. Removing filler words is not about sounding robotic. It is about speaking with precision. Every word you choose should have purpose. When you replace fillers with pauses, your speech instantly grows stronger. The pause communicates confidence, while the filler communicates doubt. One makes people listen, the other makes them drift away. Think of it like music. A song is powerful not only because of the notes, but also because of the spaces between them. In the same way, your speech becomes powerful when it flows cleanly, without clutter. The clearer your words, the greater your impact. Mastering this skill requires awareness. Start by noticing your patterns. Each time you feel the urge to say or like, choose silence instead. Over time, your voice becomes sharper, your message more direct, and your presence more commanding. People will begin to associate your words with authority because nothing you say feels wasted. When you eliminate filler words, you separate yourself from the majority. You stop sounding unsure and start sounding unshakable. And in a world where most voices are clouded with hesitation, yours will stand out as a voice of strength and clarity. Eliminating filler words is only possible when the mind itself is clear. If your thoughts are scattered, your speech will always follow the same pattern. That is why daily practice of mental clarity is essential. Just as the body needs exercise to stay strong, the mind needs training to stay sharp. Without it, confusion builds and your words lose their edge. One of the most powerful ways to create clarity is journaling. When you write down your thoughts, you give them structure. What was once a cloud of ideas becomes organized on paper. This practice trains the brain to separate what is essential from what is noise. Over time, this structure carries into your speech, making your words more direct and powerful. Reflection is another key. Taking even a few minutes each day to pause, breathe, and observe your thoughts allows you to gain control over them. Instead of reacting to everything in chaos, you begin responding with purpose. This shift is felt in your voice. People hear not only what you say, but the discipline behind it. Meditation also strengthens this clarity. By focusing the mind, you learn to silence the unnecessary chatter. You develop the ability to hold a single thought with depth instead of being pulled in every direction. And when you speak, this discipline is reflected in your words. They become focused, intentional, and commanding. Daily clarity practices are not small habits. They are the foundation of powerful speech. They prepare your mind before the moment of speaking, ensuring that when your voice is heard, it carries precision. A clear mind produces clear words, and clear words are what make people listen, believe, and remember. When you train your mind each day, you do more than organize thoughts. You prepare yourself to stand out in a world where most people speak from confusion. With clarity, your words stop being ordinary sentences. They become tools of influence, shaping how others see you and how they respond to you. A clear mind creates clear words, but words alone are never enough. The body speaks too, and often it speaks louder than the voice. Human psychology shows that people judge not only by what you say, but by how you carry yourself when you say it. This is why body language is the mirror of your speech. It reflects the truth behind your words. If your posture is weak, your message feels weak. If your eyes avoid contact, your words lose power. But when you stand tall, when your shoulders are steady, when your movements are calm and deliberate, your voice instantly gains credibility. People believe what they see before they believe what they hear. The connection between body and speech is unshakable. A confident posture sends signals of strength to your own mind. It tells your brain, I am ready, I am steady. This inner signal flows into your voice, making it firm and controlled. In the same way, nervous gesture sends signals of doubt, and that doubt echoes in your words. Think of the greatest communicators. Their presence fills the space even before they speak. This is not because of noise or exaggeration. It is because their body and voice are aligned. Their posture, gestures, and expressions all support their message. Nothing feels out of place. Everything communicates confidence. The truth is, your body language is not separate from your words. It is the stage on which your words stand. A strong stage makes the performance unforgettable. A weak stage makes the message collapse. If you want your speech to carry power, your body must reflect that power. When your body and words move together, your message becomes whole. People not only hear you, they feel you. And in communication, it is the feeling that lasts long after the words are forgotten. A strong body presence gives your message structure, but emotion gives it life. Without emotion, words are empty shells, clear perhaps, but forgettable. What moves people is not only what they hear, but what they feel while hearing it. Human psychology shows that people remember emotions far longer than they remember facts. If your words carry feeling, they stay alive in the hearts of those who listen. Emotion does not mean exaggeration or drama. It means speaking from a place of truth. When your voice carries sincerity, when your tone reflects passion, when your expressions match your message, people sense it instantly. They know you are not just repeating words, you are living them. That authenticity creates connection. Think about the moments that have inspired you the most. Were they filled with perfect logic and flawless arguments? Or were they filled with passion, conviction, and energy that made you feel something powerful? Logic informs, but emotion transforms. Logic speaks to the mind, but emotion speaks to the soul. Your voice has layers. The words deliver meaning, but the emotion delivers impact. A calm tone can soothe. A passionate tone can ignite. A firm tone can establish authority. By mastering emotional expression, you give your speech dimension. You turn sentences into experiences. The key is alignment. Your words, body language, and emotions must move together. If they do, your message becomes unshakable. People will not only hear you, they will feel your certainty, your passion, and your belief. And long after the exact words are forgotten, the emotion will remain, shaping how they see you and how they act on your message. Emotion is the spark that turns clarity into power. It is the force that transforms communication from being heard into being remembered. When you learn to infuse your words with genuine feeling, you no longer just speak, you move people. And that is the essence of true influence. If emotion is the spark that brings words alive, then why do so few people ever master the art of powerful speech? The truth is simple: fear. Most people are trapped by the fear of judgment. They worry about what others will think, about making mistakes, about not sounding smart enough. This fear silences their authenticity and fills their speech with hesitation. Instead of speaking to connect, they speak to impress. They hide behind complicated words, or they rush through their sentences, hoping no one notices their insecurity. But the more they try to impress, the less they connect. Listeners sense the effort, and instead of leaning in, they pull away. Human psychology is clear. Authenticity builds trust, and pretense destroys it. Another reason most people fail is a lack of practice. They assume communication is natural, that doesn't need training. But just like any skill, clarity and articulation require discipline. Without practice, bad habits grow stronger, and hesitation becomes permanent. Meanwhile, those who dedicate themselves to mastering their voice rise above, because they are doing what almost no one else is willing to do. Discomfort is also a barrier. The silence of a pause feels heavy. The work of simplifying words feels tiring. The effort to control body language and emotion feels unnatural at first. So people quit before they ever experience the reward. They settle for being part of the 99% who remain unclear, unheard, and easily forgotten. But here is the hidden truth. The very things people fear, silence, simplicity, authenticity, are the things that make speech powerful. Those who embrace these instead of avoiding them break free from the crowd. They discover that clarity is not about perfection, it is about courage. The courage to pause, the courage to be real, the courage to speak, not to impress, but to connect. And that courage is what separates the few who master this skill from the many who never will. Mastery of clear and powerful speech is not reserved for a chosen few. It is a path open to anyone who decides to walk it. The first step is awareness. Notice the moments when fear tries to silence you, when doubt fills your mind, when you hesitate instead of expressing yourself. Awareness is power, because you cannot change what you refuse to see. The second step is practice. Speak slowly, breathe deeply, and let silence be your ally. Every time you pause instead of rushing, you take control. Every time you choose simple words over complicated ones, you bring clarity. Every time you speak with honesty instead of pretense, you build trust. These small acts, repeated daily, carve out a new version of yourself, one who no longer fears the weight of words, but wields them with strength. The third step is courage. Courage is what transforms practice into presence. It is the willingness to be seen, to let your voice carry your truth, even when others may not agree. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite fear. And when you speak with courage, people listen, not because your words are perfect, but because they are real. Finally, the path is about consistency. The rare 1% who speak with true power are not different because of talent, but because of commitment. They show up again and again, refining their voice, mastering their pauses, aligning their emotions with their words. Over time, their speech becomes not just communication, but influence. And this is the ultimate reward. When you learn to articulate with clarity and power, you stop being just another voice in the crowd. You become the voice that cuts through the noise, the voice that inspires action, the voice that people remember. That is the destiny waiting for those willing to step out of fear and into mastery.